Hey, stop editing photos the hard way. In this lesson, I'm going to show you exactly how we edit our photos here at Digital Realm in a batch order so we can do 50, 100 within minutes. So with that being said, we're just going to show you how to do that right now. Let's go. Alright, so the first thing you want to do is go ahead and open up Photoshop. So when you open up Photoshop, you will have, the typical Photoshop layout. You want to create a new file, like so. And we'll just do it at our, we can do it at our 1920 by 1080. It really doesn't matter your template that you have set up. That part doesn't matter. We just want to open the file so we can start to define our actions. So you might be asking, what do you mean by actions? Essentially, we're going to do a set of actions and record those actions so we can apply those same set of actions to another image, and then another image, and then another image, and it'll do it automatically because Photoshop will save the actions that you did. So very, very easy, very easy to do, and we're going to break that down real quick. So with that being said, what we're doing is we're editing raw photos, and we're going to create the PNG version of these photos, but then also we are going to remove the background from them. So first things first, you want to begin setting up your automation of your project. So again, it will usually be on this side, but if it's not on this side, you want to go to Windows, Actions, and now you see this little play icon is there. Now your actions are ready. This is how you define actions. You have default actions here. We can go ahead and put that action set, just toggle that up where it's not visible, but we're going to create a new action set, and we're going to call this Digital Realm Production. You can call it whatever you want, right? You can call it whatever you want. Inside of this Digital Realm Production, we're going to go ahead and create an actual new action. So create new action by hitting this plus sign here, and we're going to call this Remove Background. Right? Boom. Now, as you probably noticed, once we set that new action, this red record button has started. You have the stop here. Stop is kind of like stop and pause, or stop. It'll stop recording so you can do other things. And then when you're ready to record, you can just hit that pause or hit that record button again, and it'll begin recording. So you're about to see kind of how that works and why that's important. So essentially, we want to open a file that is going to be a raw file, and a raw file usually has a dialog box in the beginning that you have to get through. So we're going to open up our raw file here by just clicking one of our raw files here. And remember, we're recording right now, so it's gonna start recording. You're gonna start to see it like populate with information as far as action steps on this right side panel. So just pay attention as you see it starts to populate as we do each action. So this is the raw file. You want to hit open down here at the bottom. It opens, and you see as soon as we hit open, it automatically is going to open. So again, when you assign a folder full of images to do open in Photoshop, it's going to do exactly that, right? So now essentially what we want to do is go ahead and remove the background. This is very simple to do by select subject, boom, and select the subject. We're going to hit the mask button down here, quick mask. Boom, done and done. One of the other things I like to do is go ahead, image, trim, and remove the transparent areas, right? Because I just want the actual image. I want it in the dimensions it is. I don't want the extra space, just what the dimensions are. As you see, it did the same thing. Open, selected a subject, make, which is make the mask, trimmed, which is trimmed. Now we're going to save. So go ahead and File, Save As, and you save it where you want to save it. So we're going to save it into our other folder where where we want all of our content to be saved. We're going to save it there. And usually the save will pop up right here. Oh, dialog is over here. There's a little dialog, so make sure you hit your dialog. Oh, hold on, not a Photoshop. We want to save it as a PNG. Save as. Make sure you pay attention to that. Make sure you just have the file saved in the right format. And the PNG will allow it to have the transparency. And we're going to save. And that save should pop up right here as well, like so. And then also there's one more step. There's also one more step is you want to close. So now close out, and that's going to add that to the actual actions list, like so. Now you can stop recording. So now it's going to, again, quick run through. It's going to open, it's going to select the subject, it's going to make a mask, it's going to trim, it's going to save, it's going to close. For each individual picture within a folder that you assign it to, right? So a quick tip, I was thinking of the quick tip, but I didn't want to interrupt where we were. But a quick tip for when you are doing this process. When you are doing this process, make a original folder with all of your original photos that you probably got from your camera or your phone or whatever, all your original. Then you make a folder with all of your edits. Your edits one is going to be empty right now. You're going to have your originals, a folder with all the originals, and you're going to have a folder with all the edits. And when you run this action script, it's going to look at the originals folder to get the information to open the files and things like that. But then the results is going to save to the edits folder. So you want to keep them in two different areas, because again, you don't want to overwrite your originals folder because you can always go back and run it again or edit it a different way or whatever the case may be. But you want to keep your originals. So that's a pro tip. Do not overlook that. Have two separate folders, one for your edit, one for your originals. Boom. So with that being said, now we're going to go into the automation part, right? So to automate this, now you want to go to File, Export. Not export, file. Well, before we do that, make sure you like this video. Make sure you like this video. Make sure you subscribe to this video. Make sure you share this video with somebody who can use it. And then also, it was just a quick reminder that usually when I'm working in Photoshop on a file, I'll do an export like so, an export as PNG. Now, if you try to do this step with actions, it will give you problems. It will not work as well as if you do a save as, mainly because it cannot, for some reason, export is not an action that's savable for some reason. I don't know. That might be a bug on Photoshop side, but I don't know. The export it doesn't seem to save. So if you do a save as, it actually saves as in the action, so it'll save as whatever you assign it to. So again, that's a quick tip as well. So if that helped you, make sure you comment below like, hey, that's fire, or whatever the case may be, like, hey, good looking, whatever the case, whatever you want to say in the comments below. But again, we're going to continue with this lesson. So now we're going to get to the actual automation part. So you hit this button one time, like you set this up one time, hit this button, it starts to do the same exact action for every image in your folder, in the originals folder, and puts the results into your edits folder. So File, Automate, Batch. Boom. I don't want to speed past that. File, Automate, and it's going to be Batch, right? Now in that batch, you're going to assign your set, which the set is the folder we created called Digital in Production. The action, which we called it remove background, and that action includes all of the steps that we're going to do, or that it's going to do. You're gonna give it a source folder, right? I'm gonna just move this off to the side. You're gonna give this a source folder. You're gonna choose your destination for your source folder. You're gonna have a destination folder. You're gonna choose your destination for your destination folder. Make sure you put override open commands and override actions as save as commands, right? You want to make sure those are selected. What that does is, when it does the open commands, if you're familiar with Photoshop, when you open a new file, it's usually like hit OK to move forward or whatever the case may be. Or when you save a file, it's like hit OK to make sure you want to save it, blah, blah, blah. It's going to override all of that and you won't have those prompts. So again, the action can just go on its own and flow from image to image to image without you having to touch it, right? If you want to file your error log, you can do that as well. We're just gonna stop our error log. Hopefully it doesn't give us any errors. And then your file names, we could get into that in a second. I'm gonna go ahead and just assign my folders. Make sure it's a folder, boom. We're gonna go ahead and move it over here, right there, right there. This is where you're gonna grab all of your images from. So this is where your images will live. Your originals. So this is if you want to consider it a read folder. Hold on, wait a minute. Then you have your destination folder, which is going to be your right folder. Boom, like so. Make sure your document name here and extension is selected, right? Make sure you hit that override actions, save as commands, right? You want to hit that, make sure that's checked. Document, and make sure the extension is there, because you won't be able to open the file if the extension is not added, right? So make sure the extension is added. Then you want to go ahead and hit OK. I want to make sure something real quick before I do that, because it wasn't showing my images when I actually looked up my destination, but they're in there. So just making sure I didn't do anything that messes that up. Then hit OK. Once you hit OK, it's just like magic, boy. It's magic, right? So once you hit OK, now it's going to start to read what's in your originals folder and then do all the steps and then put it into the actual edits folder. So I can let you see that live in action right here. If you pay attention to the left side of your screen, like this is it populating with all of the action. So it's going to run one by one through all of my photos, and it's all hands off. I don't have to do anything anymore besides sit here and wait for them all to be done. So this is a great time to take a break, go have lunch, whatever the case may be. But by the time you come back, you will have a folder full of images that have removed backgrounds. Super, super, super powerful. And I'm gonna just let this run through for the sake of this video. I'm gonna let this run through. I know I'm gonna fast forward through this, but just so you can see it run through the process. All right, so boom, there it is. You got to see exactly it run through the automation. It took a little while. It took about an hour or so. I want to give and take a little bit at a time because we are recording, and I think my computer is running a little slower than usual. But also dependent upon your machine, it can run faster and faster depending on upon your machine. So that being said, you got to see how to do that process. Now you see we have 186 edited photos that took less than an hour, or took about an hour to actually complete. Just imagine how long that would have taken if you did them one by one, one by one, doing all of the different steps. So that being said, super valuable. Again, like I said prior to, you take your lunch. I didn't leave the desk because I know I was recording, but again, you set it and then go to lunch, come back, and they're all done. That's pretty much how you will really approach this. Not sit at your desk like I did, but I knew I was recording, so I kind of wanted to be here to nurture y'all through, so we know when we're done, so we can also continue the recording. So that being said, now you can open one of these photos, and you see the background is gone. There isn't any color correction or anything, but the background is gone, and it's ready to just be placed as a sticker or whatever, or however you want to place it. So super beneficial for actually setting up, automation for your actual production. So boom, there it is. You got to see exactly how we set up our automated batch edits for our actual production. So when you have multiple images, you can pretty much edit one and record the actual actions, and then apply that to a whole folder of images just like that. We didn't do any color correction or anything like that, but if you do have images where you do color correction and all of the different steps, you can put those in the actions, do the same exact thing we did here. Super valuable, super valuable at the end of the day, as far as maximizing your time. So with that being said, hopefully you found some value in this. Hopefully this inspires you to do that one thing that takes you closer to your goals. Hopefully this also propels you in the direction towards your goals, but then also inspires you to share this with somebody else who you know can utilize the same service. If you're working with a photographer, or you're working with somebody who's into photography, or into I wouldn't say videos, but into photography, and they spend a lot of time editing, showing them this quick tip is very valuable. So share this, like this for the algorithm to share it for people you don't know, but then comment below, like, if this was valuable too. Comment a value below that this was valuable to you. And with that being said, we will be dropping more and more lessons just like this, tips and tricks to create content a lot faster, a lot more efficient, and like a pro. So with that being said, I will see you all in the next lesson. Later, y'all. Peace.